Hello, everyone, and welcome to How Not to Go Broke in College, a Smart About Money presentation where we give you the financial knowledge, tips, tricks, and skills to help you manage your own finances in college. My name is Van, and I am a peer financial coach at Smart About Money. A little bit about us. Smart About Money is a financial wellness program here on campus. We're here to help you become smart about money by giving you the tools, tips, tricks, and knowledge to help you manage your financial life in college. We offer one-on-one peer financial coaching that you can schedule through Navigate. We have presentations, workshops, and events. And if you're interested, you can follow us on Instagram at UMass Sam, where you can have daily tips, tricks, knowledge, and the event calendar to help you attend our events. And we offer virtual and in-person advising and group presentations. So wherever you are, on or off campus, you can always join our events or use our services. Before diving into the main part of the presentation, I just want to acknowledge that as students, we have our own basic needs, such as food, housing, utilities and internet, healthcare, transportation, social services, and legal support. These are the basic needs to help you successful in your college career. And at any point, if you or your friends have any questions, concerns, or simply want to have more resources on these basic needs, please reach out to us. I have a QR up here that will link to our website. And also the Dean of Students Office is a great resource for students in supporting their basic needs. So any questions at all, you can reach out to us or contact Dean of Students Office to have more support. Okay, so learning outcomes for today, we're just gonna walk you through the basic components of budgeting and credit. We will do some activities where we figure out our personal spending habits and the impacts to our financial life. We will learn about the differences between different types of student loans and also some helpful tips for repayment. And throughout the presentation and at the end, we'll give you the resources that you can access at UMass and beyond to help you manage your finances. All right, and here is the first resource. Did you know that as a UMass student, you get access to a free New York Times subscription? You can do this by signing up for an account using your student email at this link to get access to all the free articles and resources. You can use it for classroom or just simply like on a Monday morning, you want to read an article. This is a great resource for that. All right. And the first topic is budgeting. So why talk finances now? So as students, we all know that, finance is a very important topic at some points in our life. And at Smart About Money, we believe that the sooner you talk about finances, the better you are equipped in dealing with financial decisions, in navigating your own financial choices, and also just be better managing your own finances. So the financial talk is important, and we think the earlier we make the talk, the better you are in terms of staying on top of your finances. So the first thing about budgeting is a budget, right? So a budget is simply creating a plan for spending your money. And there are two components in a budget: income and expenses. So income is the money coming in to your budget, and expenses are the money coming out of your budget. So money that you spend. And research has shown that people who keep a budget feel noticeably less stressed about their finances compared to those who don't. So budget is simple and is also important to your own finances and also mental health. So what are the examples of income and expenses? So for income, you can have your salary, so employment income. You can have some side gigs. As a student, you can babysit on like a Saturday afternoon, or you have like an online Etsy shop that you sell like handcraft stuff. You can have your work study. You can have any holiday or birthday money that your parents or your friends give you, and also your family financial support will be part of your income. For expenses, some examples would be tuition, which is a big part of every student's expenses. You have food, gas, or other consumables, depending on if you live on or off campus. You have your savings, your gifts, and also childcare, pet care. So here are the examples of income expenses that you can consider when making your own budget. And we cannot talk about budget without talking about emergency funds. So emergency funds is very important part of your budget, and they're essentially money saved in case of unexpected expenses. So what are unexpected expenses? So you might think, if I'm kind of drowsy in one morning and I want like a coffee from procrastination station, is that unexpected expense? Not necessarily. In this case, we want to talk about like expenses, like if your car broke down, if your computer broke down, things that you have to spend quite a large amount of money on, and we want to budget for those. So emergency funds are basically a budgeting seatbelt. If you have them in your budget, then you won't have to worry about any unexpected expenses that might happen. And the recommended amount, so a long-term goal would be 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. But a short-term goal for anyone could be depending on their personal circumstances or like comfort in their financial range. So any amount that you feel like can cover like an unexpected expenses when those happen. And how do you actually start making your own emergency funds? So an approach would be to set aside an amount weekly or monthly. So every month you can set aside $20, or every week you can set aside even $5. How big or small the amount is important that you just take steps toward building one, so they prepare you for any future unexpected expenses. And it's very important to have emergency funds before you consider investments, because investments are risky business. They don't have any guarantee and you can lose the money. We really recommend students before they consider investments to just have an established emergency fund. But things in life happen, and sometimes expenses happen when you don't really have the money for them. So what happens if you haven't built an emergency fund for unexpected expenses? Luckily at UMass, we have the support for that. And if you remember from the previous slide, I talked about the Dean of Students Office. They also an amazing support resource for students in terms of emergency fund support. So Dean of Students Office will provide the students with a lot of support for emergency expenses, such as microgrants would provide up to $500 for emergencies. They have a short-term loan program providing up to $500 for undergraduate or $1,000 for graduate students with a 30-day repayment. So this is a loan program that you can borrow and then you pay things off, and then after 30 days you repay the Dean of Students Office. They also have an amazing thing called student care supply closets that have free personal care supplies. So shampoo, toiletries, anything. If you need like a quick saving of expenses for like your shampoo, you can always fill out a form online and then pick it up at the Dean of Students Office. So it's an amazing resource. And they also have emergency meal swipes that students at the end of the semester, if they ran out of meal swipes, or student off campus, if they run into food insecurity, you can reach out to them and use this service. All right, so there are lots of ways that you can fund your education and your life in general. So increasing your income, you can research and apply to scholarships. So Academic Works is a famous UMass scholarship system where you can look up scholarships and apply for them. And FAFSA is the federal resource for students to apply to federal loans and student aid. You can also look for part-time jobs and summer internships. Sometimes your student status can qualify you for a lot of discounts. So like, for example, the New York Times thing, you can use your UMass email and ID for various like off-campus resources to see if they have any student discounts. You can also participate in paid research studies through SONA and utilize a lot of free campus and local resources. So again, the student supply closet, we have the Amherst Survival Center, have the SNAP benefits and all that. So lots of ways that you can utilize to fund your education. and make financial goals. All right, so next up, we'll talk about spending habits. So there are 6 types of spenders or purchases that usually one can identify with. So the first one is status, which means you usually spend your money in terms of the latest thing, right? The latest shoes, the latest iPhone, you spend it to upscale your status. Selfless means you usually spend not for yourself, but for other people, like your friends, your family. Security means you usually don't spend at all, like you're the person who really likes to save, but not really spend the money. And although this sounds very safe, right? Like you're not spending money, how can you lose money? It's not actually a good practice in long term, because if you're not spending money, then you won't have the skills and knowledge to know how to healthily spend your money. Goal-oriented is what we usually recommend students because this means that you're spending toward a financial goal. That can be, affording a vacation this summer or saving for a new computer after graduation. So this is a very productive kind of spender. And so usually we advise students to have this type of spending habit. Emotional means you spend based on your emotions. If you're feeling sad and down, you probably more likely to spend on impulsive things. And that is kind of similar to spontaneous, which means you spend unknowingly at random times. So here are the spending habits. One can identify with one or many types, right? And sometimes we change our types depending on the season. Like usually you're like a very security kind of spender, but when Christmas arrives, you become the selfless spender because you want to spend money on gifts and wishes to your family, and that's totally okay. It's just very helpful to know which type of spender we are certain point in life, so that we know how to budget efficiently and safeguard our spending so that we don't spend too much. All right. And the last stop of a budget is to set goals, right? So a budget is designed to help you meet a financial goal. And as more about money, we recommend setting SMART goals. Your goal should be specific, which means it should outline details and not too vague, such as, oh, I want to be a billionaire. It should have details enough so that you can follow it. It should be measurable, which means you should have a set amount of money. So it will be more helpful to say, I want to save up $500 for my computer this summer than say, I want to afford a vacation to Hawaii, because that's not really measurable. It should be attainable too. Like it shouldn't be too ambitious, such as I want to be a billionaire by the time I graduate. And it should be realistic, right? It should serve your personal goals and purposes, and not something that's like just following the trends or super irrelevant to your life. And it should be timely. So you should have like a time benchmark, just so that you know if you're like staying on track, or if you should speed up your goal, or if you should adjust anything in setting your goal. So setting SMART goals is the way to go if you want to have a healthy spending habits and also to have a productive financial life. With all said and done, there are a lot of steps and information in terms of keeping yourself on track and keeping your budget in check. And so there are a lot of resources out there to help you with that. And the Mint budgeting app is also one of those great resources. So the Mint budgeting app is a free and easy to navigate app. It links to your bank account so it can track your income, expenses, and bills. And it can also create budgets for categories like groceries and entertainment. So it will let you know if you're like way out of your budget, or if you can relax and spend more on like some budget. So, and also many banks, if you're using banks and they have like online free budgeting tools, you can check it out too. So there are various ways to help you budget and keep your financial in check. And we would say to feel free to venture and research and figure out which way works best for you. All right, and here is our second tip. So did you know that sometimes you can save money by doing some of the things you already do anyway? So if you are a regular customer at the local Stop and Shop, you can sign up for their membership card, which will have like 10 cents off every gallon of gas if you shop there recently. So pay attention to the local resources and see which things you can actually save more money by registering or using your student ID. Our next topic is credit. So what is credit? Credit is an important part of your financial life. And although the term sounds very vague, to put it simply, credit helps you get access to things you need now based on your promise to pay later. Having healthy or good credit helps you qualify for loans, like a mortgage, and can open up lower interest rates. So building credits helps you a lot in terms of like long-term financial goals and management. So here, like a very brief overview of credit score. So credit is usually seen in terms of scores, and it ranges from 300 to 850. So a higher credit score means you have healthier credit. So if you look at this chart here, anything above 670 is considered a good credit score. And again, a good credit score can promise you lower interest rates on loans, or even just like the forefront, like access to loans. And if you have no idea what credit is, or you have never built credits before, it's okay because everyone's credits start with no credit. Doesn't mean that you start from zero, but you start somewhere, and then as you start making healthy like credit building practices, you build up your credit. All right, so it's very important to monitor your credit, and your credit score is calculated by one of the three companies called credit bureaus. And you can check your credit score for free without hurting your credit at annualcreditreport.com. So this is the website that they pull from the three credit bureaus that calculate your credit score, or creditkarma.com. So this is a free website that can always tell you your credit score, and it doesn't have to be official like annualcreditreport.com. But sometimes if you just want to check it out, it's a good resource for that. And why should you monitor your credit? Because college students are often preyed upon by identity thieves. So people that, just sometimes if they have your information, they can apply to a credit card, or they can take out loans that you don't even know about. So when those things happen, your credit score will reflect them. And so it's very good practice just to monitor your credit score so you can be prepared when those things happen. And so how do you go about building credit? As a college student, you can responsibly use a credit card. So as a student, we think that is a good rule of thumb to not have more than 2 credit cards open at the same time, and never miss a payment, because missing payment is the biggest dunk to your credit score. You can also, if you're not super comfortable with credit cards, you can take out small loans through UMass 5. UMass 5 is a college student-friendly credit union, and it's located in the campus center. You can take out loans for, like, they have bike loans that you can take out, and as you're paying the loans off, you can build your credit that way. And also, you can make payments on student loans. So if you have student loans, making payments is also a way to build your credit. So our last topic is student loans. So here is not a tip, but a fact. So did you know that approximately 72% of UMass students take out student loans? So if you have student loans, then you're not alone, because there's so many students taking out loans each year to support their education that it's very important to have just basic like loan knowledge, that like what loans are you taking and how do you best manage your loans. So there are 4 types of student loans: federal direct subsidized, federal direct unsubsidized, parent plus, and private. So the main thing to remember is that for the subsidized and unsubsidized federal loans, their main differences are that the subsidized one, the federal government paid your interest while you're at school. So you won't, and no interest is going to accrue during your time at school and after you graduate for 6 months, which is called the grace period. After you graduate and 6 months after that, the subsidized loan will start accruing interest. In contrary, the unsubsidized federal loan will accrue interest by the time you take out the loans. So if you receive the loan, the interest start accrue right away. And so the federal government won't pay for any interest during your time at UMass. Parent Plus are federal loans that your parent can take out to support your education. And the good thing about them is that they only view the parent credit score as like one of the criteria to give you the loans. And private loans, they're at the bottom of the list because usually as a recommendation, we think students should go for subsidized first because your interests are being paid for. And then unsubsidized loans where your interests are not paid for, but they're federal loans, so they are more leniency in terms of repayments or even forbearance and forgiveness. Parent Plus also because they are federal loans, and private loans usually have higher interest rates than federal loans, and their repayment policies are way stricter. So you probably won't have much wiggle room in terms of repayment. So studentaid.gov is the most important resource for information about your federal student loans. So if you have student loans, you can go to studentaid.gov to have every information you need to know about your loans. Right, and let's talk briefly about loan repayment. So depending on where you are in your academic years, this can be very relevant or not super important to you, but it's always good to know the basics. So usually student loan repayments are made to the loan service provider and not UMass. So even though it appears that UMass give you the money when you apply for the loans, if you have federal loans, go to studentaid.gov to figure out who's your loan service provider, and that's who you're going to pay it back to. And also explore different repayment options. So studentaid.gov, again, they have a very great resource called Loan Simulator Tool, where you can like put your loan into like a simulation, and then you can adjust like how long you want to pay it off by, or how much per month do you think you're gonna be able to pay it off. And then they will calculate everything else. So it's a great way to plan out your repayment. And also, if you have any questions or just want to look at the website with someone, you can see a peer financial coach. So you can schedule an appointment with us, and then we'll look at the websites and what you need to know and any questions you have together. And a financial tip is to be strategic with repayment. So in terms of repayment, when and how much you pay monthly will have a huge impact on your overall interest and repayment amount. Okay, so that's the end of what we'll be talking about. That's a lot of information, and I don't know about you, but for me, I would feel pretty lost after that. So where do we actually start, right? So financial wellness doesn't have to feel that kind of overwhelming. So at SAM, we have this amazing thing called the Financial Wellness Roadmap. And this is your step-by-step guide to navigate your college life finances. So if you look at the roadmap right here, just like a brief look, we have 4 phases, and each phases is full with checklists of items that you can check it off to see how are you progressing in terms of like managing your own finances, and what else can you do to better manage your finance. So for example, this is phase number 1. So there are a lot of things that you can do at this phase, like, schedule a one-on-one peer financial coaching session with us, or fill out the FAFSA if it's applicable to you, or open a bank account that you can access locally. So different like financial related tasks that you can use or just reference when you navigating your own finances. And just by seeing this presentation, you can already check off one item. So how satisfying is that? right? So we hope that this resource will be helpful to you, and you can always access it through our website. So lastly, we want to point you to the resources that you can access at UMass, because you have an amazing financial team at your back, and you can always access for resources and support. So financial aid office, they are the resource for everything financial aid related. So student loans, work study, scholarships, repayment, all that. Come to the financial aid office to have your questions answered. The bursar's office are the one collecting your tuition every semester, but they also have amazing resources if you have questions about payments. If you have questions about like if you can pay your tuition in like monthly payments. They have the service and resource for that. Dean of Students Office, again, amazing student resource for basic needs and also emergency fund and also anything like student wellness related. So come to them if you have any questions at all. The Student Legal Services Office is a great resource for reviewing your lease for free. So if you're thinking of moving off campus and signing leases, they will help you reviewing your lease for free. And also anything legal related, they can give you support for free. Your academic advisor is usually the one you meet before you choose your class, but they can also let you know if you're dropping below half-time, below full-time status, or that impacts your financial aid package. And last but not least, Smart About Money. So we're here for you anytime. So if you have any questions, if you want to know more about how you can improve your financial knowledge and management in college, come to us, schedule a one-on-one appointment with us, attend our events, and see our presentations. There are different ways you can engage with us to help you better your financial journey in college. Thank you so much for your attention. We have a brief survey that we hope that you would fill out after seeing this presentation. You can scan this QR code, and we'd love to have your feedback so that we can improve our presentations in the future. And thank you again for your attention. If you have any questions after this presentation, you can feel free to reach out to us through our email, smartaboutmoney@umass.edu, or you can schedule a one-on-one appointment with one of our peer financial coaches to have every of your questions answered. You can do that by going to our website, umass.edu/smartaboutmoney, to see how you can schedule the appointment through Navigate.